filmmakers with nothing in common. They thought they had it all figured out. They don't just follow the movies, they make them. Alexander Pavlak, Mario Silvas, and Jamal Alexander are the makers on film.
Damn it, I'm watching the Muppets.
All right, then. So how was the Muppets?
It has potential.
It has potential? But you were saying that it was more for a mature audience.
It's in a primetime sitcom way.
Okay. Well, wasn't the original Muppet Show primetime?
Yeah, but it wasn't meant for like an adult audience. It was a bunch of running gags for children.
I think it had some adult things going on. I mean, it wasn't geared towards adults, but they made it so adults would enjoy it as well, because they knew adults had to sit through all that stuff. So where did you find that that short or that?
I just went online and Googled the Muppets streaming, and then it just came up with like this short, like 10-minute teaser for the show that apparently they used to actually convince ABC to make the show.
Nice. Oh yeah, you were saying that Disney owns the Muppets. You know, Disney owns ABC as well, right?
Yeah, Disney owns ABC. It owns the Muppets, Marvel, and Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
So they basically own your childhood now.
Yeah, basically everything. All they need to do is buy Nickelodeon and the Cartoon Network.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Yeah, what is it? CSI. That is a Disney production.
CSI is a Disney production?
Technically, yeah. It's on CBS. It's done by
Well, CBS isn't Disney owned. ABC is.
it's I think it's on ABC, isn't it?
No, CSI is on NBC or CBS, one of the two.
It's not NBC, I know that.
So it's CBS.
Thought it was Disney because it's done by one of the Bruckheimers, isn't it? And
Right, but the Bruckheimer's it's its own thing, and they just get distributed a lot through Disney, especially the Pirates movies.
Yeah. Well, the pirate movies is a Disney ride, so it has to go through Disney. Yeah, they because you know Pirates of the Caribbean is a ride at Disney World or Orlando.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they tried to do that with some of their other rides because you know the success of Pirates of the Caribbean was so immense that they thought they could do it with other things like the Haunted Mansion,
Tomorrowland was also a thing.
Tomorrowland. There was something else.
Jungle Cruise is being made into a movie starring Dwayne Johnson.
That I don't know. None of the other ones seem to really hit it off.
I mean, Jungle Cruise has the potential to be, because it's so similar in theme to Pirates.
Right.
It has the potential for that, but I think they cast well, getting Dwayne Johnson to do Jungle Cruise.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they did a pretty good job casting with getting what's his face, George Clooney, to be in Tomorrowland or whatever it's called. What was it called again?
Tomorrowland.
Oh, okay. And they got Eddie Murphy to be in the Haunted Mansion, which...
Oh, Eddie Murphy will do anything for a paycheck nowadays.
Yes, that he will. Which is sad, because he used to be really good at stuff.
He was all right. And then he thought he was the biggest thing in the world, and his work started to go to crap.
He kind of was there for a minute. After Beverly Hills Cop and... what was the other one that he did that was really big? 48 Hours.
Another 48 Hours.
Another 48 Hours was pretty good. Beverly Hills Cop 2 was pretty good.
Golden Child.
Golden Child was alright.
Trading Places. Coming to America.
Trading Places, Coming to America. Yeah, those are pretty good. Yeah, he was big, really big for a while, and then, you know, you're absolutely right. It started to go downhill. And then he did, you know, Beverly Hills Cop 3, and that really just... That was the nosedive of that airplane.
It reeked of desperation.
Which, you know, funny enough, it was The plot wise was kind of on par with the other Beverly Hills Cop movies. It's kind of a very simple plot. The first one was drug running. No, not drug. Was it guns or was? No, it was drugs. The first one was drug smuggling. The second one was gun smuggling, and the third one was counterfeiting. And they just did it in kind of a grandiose way, and the last one just seemed too grandiose because they did this whole Disney theme park ripoff thing.
Yeah, that was a step too far.
Yeah, that was. Like I like the idea of, the Disney Corporation being so big that they could counterfeit, US dollars, but it's the application and the whole thing that kind of tanked.
Well, Disney's big enough that at this point, if they wanted to start their own, drug cartel, they have the finances to do it.
They could start their own country, really.
At this point, yes.
Did you know that Sylvester Stallone was slated to be the star of Beverly Hills Cop?
I did not know that. No.
Yeah, it was supposed to be kind of a straight up action adventure affair, like he normally does.
It
You know,
it, it, it would have lost something. Beverly Hills Cop, I think of as a action comedy.
yeah,
Stallone is absolutely terrible at comedy.
he is, and they wouldn't have done it comedy. They would have done it more action oriented. It would have been kind of like probably kind of like Raw Deal or something like that, in kind of that vein, where it was just straight up gritty action, kind of low budget. Probably not low budget, but gritty in action. And when he dropped out and they got Eddie Murphy, they started looking at more comedic actors, and that's why they got Judge Reinhold and the guy who plays the chief of police in Detroit, who chews out Eddie Murphy, was I think he was the mayor at one point of Detroit. He was either the mayor or the congressman of Detroit at one point.
Huh.
And he was not an actor, and he was just some guy from Detroit who auditioned, who they liked, and made him yell at Eddie Murphy for 3 movies.
You can make a career out of that.
Out of yelling at Eddie Murphy.
Yes, you can.
Yeah,
Every movie he has, he's always pissing off somebody.
I was gonna say that's probably his publicity agent.
Yeah. Raw Deal. That was the Schwarzenegger thing, right?
That was a Schwarzenegger thing, and actually, I found a correlation between today's movie and Raw Deal, and it's just a little thing, but since I'm talking about it, I'll bring it up right now. In John Wick, when he's got that suitcase that he has, and he like pulls out the clothes, and behind the clothes there's all those guns kind of velcroed into the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, Schwarzenegger had a bag exactly like that in Raw Deal.
You know what that all comes from, or at least I think it is what it all comes from. Have you ever seen? It was the Man with No Name movie with Eastwood, where him and another bounty hunter are like going after the same group of guys. I think it's a few dollars more.
I think that's right. Yeah, that sounds right.
Okay, you remember the? Oh, he's a really good actor. He was in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly too. The other bounty hunter.
Lee Van Cleef?
Yeah, Lee Van Cleef. Remember, he walks up to his horse, goes to the side, and just pulls a string, and like a whole a blanket pretty much just rolls out, and he's got guns tied to like the blanket.
That's
like,
right. That's right.
That was awesome.
That was pretty good. Yeah. You're absolutely right. I forgot about that.
It's a good movie too.
Oh, all 3 of those movies are good.
Was it A Few Dollars More, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and
A Fistful of Dollars.
Which one was A Fistful of Dollars again?
That was the first one. That's where he goes up against a Mexican cartel of some sort.
Ah, yes, I remember that one now.
It's
just sort of rolls into town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of A-Team like, where he rolls into town, and there's this gang from Mexico who's taken over the town, and they kind of beg him to take it back. Kind of.
Yeah, he was he was his own Magnificent Seven at that point.
Yeah.
Oh, great movies. it's hard to kind of separate the Man with No Name franchise from some of his other spaghetti westerns or just his westerns in general.
Yeah.
Hang 'em High really kind of I thought it was the same franchise.
Hang 'em High and that one where he paints the town red and the three outlaws are coming in. The town pays him to protect them.
Give me 1 second. I gotta turn off an alarm real quick.
Sure thing.
Okay, now I'm back.
Okay. High Plains Drifter was another movie that I thought was part of that character's story.
See, High Plains Drifters is what he started is one of the ones that started to not seem like that because it just looks so different from the other ones.
It does look that way, but it felt like him kind of like that should have been the end movie. Like he was just really, really angry. Like he went to that town, which he did for a specific reason, and that seemed like what could have been that character's entire motivation. That he's just trying to get back to that town to kind of take his vengeance out of it.
Well, if I had to pick a movie that was going to be the end of it for that series, it's God. What was the one with him and Freeman and
Unforgiven.
Unforgiven? Unforgiven seems like that could be that ending story.
True, and I think in some ways that might actually be. I think he either wrote that or had it wrote kind of for that reason to kind of give some closure to that character. And even though it's not the same character, I think it kind of alludes to the fact that it is the same character.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think in some ways too, it alludes to the fact that he's all the characters that Eastwood has ever played as far as a cowboy goes.
Well, he's always kind of the same character when it comes to cowboys. I've seen one where he wasn't, and that was a musical.
That's also with Lee Van Cleef, isn't it? Paint
I,
Your Wagon Red.
I can't remember, but I remember him singing in it, and it just seems so wrong.
Yeah.
Why is Dirty Harry singing? Terribly.
Well, he's a piano player. He's a musician.
He loves the jazz.
He does. He's actually a hell of a piano player. He's what was the one where he was Secret Service?
God, the President's Man or something like that.
Something like that. He did a little piano work in there, and of course played Misty for Me, which was his first directorial movie, and a bunch of others.
What did you think of Play Misty for Me? Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen that one. I've seen the other one, The Honky Tonk Man, which I thought was actually pretty good. I like that one.
I saw Play Misty for Me, and maybe because at that point the only things I'd ever really seen of Clint Eastwood was him being a badass.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing Play Misty for Me was kind of threw me for a loop. It's not a terrible movie, but it was made the way it looks and the era that it was made in. I was expecting Dirty Harry, and I think you feel that throughout the entire movie because it's Clint Eastwood walking around, sweater vest and all, and you're kind of going, shoot somebody. Shoot somebody.
Yeah, no, I gotcha.
Yeah. Which is weird because I'm usually really good with the action heroes who want to stretch out because I'm actively rooting for them to succeed.
Right.
And he does. But again, it's just I see that movie and I think Dirty Harry on an off day.
Well, Robert De Niro's in a new film called Heist.
Yeah, he's in something called The Intern, Bus 647, Bad or Evil Grandpa or something like that.
Yeah.
I could not care less what he's in anymore because he's just mailing everything in and showing up for a paycheck.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah, that's the one.
Kate Bosworth. D.B. Sweeney.
They changed the name again?
It's called Heist now.
Wasn't it Bus 6 something before?
It might be because it looks like there's a bus on the poster.
Yeah.
A father is without the means to pay for his daughter's medical treatment.
That's the one.
As a last resort, he partners with a greedy coworker to rob a casino. When things go awry, they're forced to hijack a city bus.
That's the one. It even has Dave Bautista, aka Drax the Destroyer, and Gina Carano, I believe.
Yes.
So I've managed to find a way to get the microphone as close to me as possible. So now I'm officially making this the laziest show on television.
It's on your stomach, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I I am lying down right now with the microphone on my stomach, recording this show. It is awesome. Easiest career ever.
Huh. So David Barista is going to play the Kurgan, the bad guy, in the Highlander remake.
You mean Batista?
Yeah, whatever, however you pronounce his last name.
There's no R there.
Whatever.
The T.
It's a silent R.
There's no R there.
And then James Braham? He's going to play what was the Sean Connery. He's going to play the Sean Connery role. They actually got a Mexican person to play a Spanish person.
It's not bad. You know that Dave Bautista is also the villain in the new James Bond movie.
Oh, is he?
Yeah. Well, he's the heavy.
And
You know how you remember how in the old James Bonds there was the lead bad guy, and then they would have like the classic kind of like the muscle.
Yeah, the henchman.
Yeah, the lead henchman.
Yeah.
Like Odd Job.
Yeah.
Remember Odd Job?
Yes.
You know Herman Munster was also a villain in one of those movies too.
Really? Which one?
He was the one with the jaw.
Jaws? No, that wasn't Herman Munster.
Yeah, it was.
No, it wasn't.
It might not have been. I gotta Google it now because I was watching the Munsters the other day, and I looked up that particular guy's credits, and I distinctly remember him being a Bond villain.
He might have been a Bond villain, but he wasn't.
Yeah, you're right. Jaws was somebody else. He was the guy from he's 7 foot tall guy. I can't remember his name at the moment, but he was in like a
Spy Who Loved Me, I think it was. Jaws was in. Yeah.
Herman Munster.
Stephanie Sigmund is going to be in the new Bond movie, and she's kind of cute. I don't know what else she's been in, but she's cute.
Fred Gwynne was the name of Herman Munster's actual actor.
Yes. Oh, Christopher Waltz is going to be in the new James Bond film.
Yeah, he's the main villain.
I think I knew that, but
you know what? I might have been wrong. He may not have been a Bond villain.
you're probably looking up two different things.
Yeah. No, you're right. He was not.
No, I didn't think he was. I mean, he could have always been in the background or whatever, but...
You know who was in the background of a James Bond movie and then turned that into a career?
Who?
Dolph Lundgren.
Really?
He was a bodyguard in, I believe it was a Roger Moore. It was either a Moore or a Dalton one. And he's in it for literally like less than 5 minutes and doesn't say a word. He's just standing behind like the lead bad guy and doing the worst background acting ever. The guy looks bored out of his mind. Like he's looking off to the side of the set like, what the hell am I doing here? and he did that and immediately got Rocky after that.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
But Dave Bautista is the new heavy, which is kind of cool. He's like a modern day Odd Job.
Yeah, he looks like that. Like he could be. As long as he's not throwing a hat, though.
I thought they hadn't. Have you seen Skyfall?
Yes, I have.
Do you remember the fight in the casino?
Yeah.
I thought that was Odd Job for a second.
Oh, I know, right? Oh, it was A View to a Kill. That's the one that Christopher Walken was the bad guy in.
Are we talking about the Lundgren one?
Yeah.
Okay. Was
That
that Dalton or Moore?
That was Moore. That might have been Moore's last outing as James Bond.
Yeah, he kind of got shafted by Connery when Connery came back to the role while he was Bond.
The Roger Moore Bond movie did better at the box office.
They were all, in fact, all of his were actually canon.
Yeah.
And then what's his name? Connery came back for a different company.
Yeah.
For years, they didn't own the rights to that film, and then they finally did.
Yeah.
But it was just a remake of another film.
Yeah, it was the remake of Thunderball.
Which starred?
Sean Connery.
Exactly. So he basically shot the same movie twice.
Okay, Knucklehead's on. So let me add him to group call, Skype. Then we can get right into this, and then when you have to leave, you can go ahead and leave.
There we go.
Damn it, I'm watching the Muppets.
You have yelled at every single time, and I've made me jump this last time because you did it extra loud.
Yeah, it actually was kind of loud.
Ooh, speaking of, you're kind of loud too.
Yeah.
Am I?
A little bit.
Oh, okay. Here, I'll just step further away from my computer then.
Yeah.
Keep stepping. Keep going.
Go into the next room.
Keep going.
Close the door behind you.
Keep going.
Oh, look at that. There's an X button right here. What does it do, guys? Oh, shit, that doesn't work. That doesn't do anything.
It makes me touch myself.
I was about to say, does it get boobs on the screen? Because otherwise I don't care.
Stupid.
All right.
That's...
So Jamal switched schedules and he has to leave early today at.
Yeah, I just got your message right now.
Yeah, so that's cool. You and I can talk after the show is done too. Or after he's gone, we can talk about him.
That's what the plan is.
I mean, it won't be as much fun, but it'll still be fun.
Yeah, we'll still make fun of him though.
But yeah, why don't we go ahead and just go right into.
What the hell are you talking about? The show is over when I leave.
Anyway,
so you don't want to go ahead and go into it then, Alex?
Let's go ahead and go into it. You did watch the movie this week, right, Mario?
Yeah.
John Wick?
Yeah.
Okay. The right movie, right?
I was actually rewatching it today.
Okay. Yeah, I did that a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I like it.
It's...
Oh, no.
What?
What?
Okay. There were some issues in it for me, like small ones, but it's a pretty decent film.
Well, here let's start with the critique first. What were some of the small issues you had with
it? It's stuff I said before, but like throughout the course of the movie, he gets hit in the arm with a baseball bat. He gets thrown off of a balcony about a story and a half. Lands on his back. He gets hit by a car. He gets shot a couple of times. He gets stabbed a couple of times. And, yeah, he's fine. Walking around, whatever, shooting people, beating people up.
Yeah, but dude, it's the one.
Even though it kind of looks like the same movie, he's not the one in this one.
Oh, see, I was confused. I thought this was Matrix, 4.
It kind of feels that way.
Aside tidbit, the part of the reason he does this is because one of the co-directors is his lead stunt guy from all the Matrix movies.
Yeah. Well, the place where he hid his guns seems to be the worst hiding place ever. They had the worst hit squad ever in this movie.
God, that was funny.
And when he was talking to the bartender in the bar, She said something to the effect of, "It's been a while since I've seen you," and he said 5 years, which makes me think he's only been out of the game for 5 years, which
Yeah.
totally supports the fact that the Russian guy's kid should have known who John Wick was.
Well, how old was that kid supposed to be?
Even if he's in his 20s, he would have been, 15 when John Wick was at his prime.
Unless his dad kept him out of it.
Yeah, unless he's that good that only like the top
Yeah,
tier.
like his, the boogeyman really, and like his men really knew about it, because that I could possibly believe.
Yeah.
Possibly, but the way everybody else acted about who John Wick was, it seems to me like everybody should know who the fuck he is. Everybody in the underworld should have known who he
Well,
was.
I mean, if you think about it, though, when he said, whose dog you killed was John Wick, kid, he made it seem like it's no big deal.
Yeah.
And yet, like, right now, I was just at the part where he goes into the club.
Oh yeah.
Like right after he talks to the bartender.
Yeah.
And he puts the gun to fucking Vitali. I forget his name. The big guy though. He's like, "Oh, you lost some weight."
Oh yeah.
And he's like, "Oh," and he just had that look like, "Ah, fuck, I got caught."
Uh-huh.
But he knew exactly who it was, and it was
Yeah.
like, "Okay, I'm gonna die." Like that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, yes, the people like that knew who he was, but will you get off me?
Well,
Yeah.
see, that's the thing. All the henchmen knew who he was, and they knew as soon as the gun was put to his head, that guy thought he was dead. And
Well,
John,
yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't say they're henchmen. I think they're people that he had to interact with.
but either way, though, John Wick did that guy a favor. That's how much they know who this guy is. That
Yeah.
everybody knows him.
And honestly, it shows that he changed as a person, which
Yeah.
From when his wife had kept with him and everything like that. So I honestly liked that scene right there.
Yeah.
I mean, even when he was leaving the old guy,
Yeah.
at the first bar, he's like, "It's personal," and he got up and walked away, and that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
He's not trying to kill anybody else. He's not trying to do anything else. He just wants revenge for what happened.
Yeah.
And I still think it's funny that it's just because it was his dog.
Yeah. There's.
Or, honestly, it's the symbolism
Yeah.
the dog means, but I liked it. I thought it was fun. Though.
The two other things that I had really big issue with in this movie was the very beginning where they do that little kind of flash forward to what the end is, where the SUV crashes, and then he kind of climbs out of it. Then he watches the video of his wife. That just seems so unnecessary, because then it goes into him doing his daily routine and then flashing back to what actually happened to his wife, and that part at the very beginning, that 30-second bit, just seemed very unnecessary to me.
I didn't mind it so much.
I really didn't see how it paid off at the end.
No, they could have not did that at the beginning and just had it at the end and been okay with it. And then the very end where he steals somebody's dog.
See, that I didn't like.
That bugged me
because it cheapens the original.
Well, it does. Not only that, but it's like he's grown so much as a person in those 5 years of being with his wife that guy would not have stolen somebody's dog. I think that was a little out of character for him.
I think those weren't necessary. I thought that was a pound.
I thought it was a vet clinic.
Could have been both. I don't know. But
Yeah,
I thought it was a pound.
Even though he still stole the dog. I mean, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Cheapen the character and cheapen the memory of the original dog and the wife.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was just a little too much. I thought it took away from the value of the original dog and what the intent was behind it. If you were going to do that, why don't you just steal a dog to begin with it and let another human being live, whatever.
Yeah.
But still, I didn't mind the first sequence, like because it kind of sets up the rest of the film.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because there's a good long block there. We talked about this last week about action movies that take forever for the first sequence to happen.
Yeah.
It's a good long while before he gets into his first fight.
Are you talking about when the guys break into the house? Or are you talking after that when he actually starts his vengeance ride?
When he starts his vengeance ride, because that's the first real action sequence in the movie.
Well, I will give you them beating him up as kind of actiony, even though it's all one-sided.
I thought that was more gut wrenching than anything.
That was, and that's one of the things, that's one of the things that they did that actually worked well in the movie was that scene. And the thing about that is there's this book, I don't know if you guys read it, I'm sure you've heard of it, called Save the Cat. It's written by Blake Snyder, and basically it's kind of a how-to book on how to write scripts. And the reason why it's called Save the Cat is because he has this theory about how when you introduce your good guy, he needs to do something good, so you root for him. And I forget what the example was, but main character on his way to work sees a cat that needs help and he rescues it, save the cat. And then he goes on about his day. No matter what happens to this character, no matter what decisions he makes, you will root for him because at the core, he's a good guy because he saved this cat. This is kind of the polar opposite of the save the cat theory, where instead of making the good guy look good by saving an animal, they made the bad guys look really bad by what they did to that puppy. And in a way, makes John Wick seem more sympathetic and more likable, or at least you root for him more. He's not really more likable. You just root for him more because of the tragedy that befell him at this time. And it's like it was a very interesting interpretation of that, and it just movies and a lot of directors and a lot of writers don't like doing things like that because you really kind of turn the audience off. And I think it actually worked pretty well in the context of this film, even though it was very, very sad.
I thought the scene worked well because I thought the build up with the dog was just so good. I thought it was adorable actually. The how he got along with the puppy and how the puppy just eventually kind of became like his best friend.
Mm-hmm. Very quickly too, yeah.
Yeah. I thought they did a lot with just what little time they had to kind of set up that relationship. So
Yeah.
I thought that's why it meant so much, and especially since the dog survives the stomping, and then drags itself over to him to die next to him.
Oh,
No, he went over to it.
Yeah, that's
No,
what I thought too.
no. There's
No. The dog died.
Yeah,
Right? When the dude stepped on it, it was dead.
I think
That's
it
why
was
the
instant.
blood track was from him to the dog.
I-
Dog is dead. No. Squish, dead. Squish, dead.
I thought
That's
it was the dog dragging itself there. That's what the blood trail was.
No, that was his blood trail.
It might have been him like grabbing the dog and pulling it to him. I don't know.
Yeah.
I had the envision that the dog did die instantly, and that he dragged himself to the dog. But either way,
Yeah.
it's still a very powerful scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're the action.
Go stomp on that dog.
You can hear her in the background.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Well, here let me do this. Jamal, you're the action guy. What is your take on this whole film?
I thought it was good action fare. I mean, it's B movie action fare done well. Like this is the kind of movie that normally would make its way straight to DVD, but because it's done so well, and the artistic and stylish choices are made so specific in the film that it kind of elevates it from what it really is. Because the third act, the final fight sequence, isn't something to write home about. It's not the best action sequence a movie's ever closed on, but it's shot in a way and it's done in a way so well that visually it carries the rest of the movie.
Yeah.
And so I'm happy with how it turned out. I mean, there's a lot of just it's a series of cliches mashed together, but it's done so well, shot so well, and the people behind in front of the camera and behind the camera are taking it so seriously that it makes it better than what it really is.
Okay, I can see that.
It's a greatest hits of the early 2000s action genre.
It's again, and I said this a little bit earlier that there's some correlations between this and like Raw Deal, and I think thinking about it more that this could actually be kind of viewed as a remake of that, or at least in the same vein as Raw Deal, where it is that kind of cookie cutter 80s action movie that's just had a bigger budget, so they really kind of just did more artistic things with it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ditto.
I was waiting for Alex to say something else. That's why.
Nope, that was it. Another thing I had a problem with was that nobody would really wear a suit to do what he did. Suits are a little binding and a little constricting. There's no way in hell he would wear a suit to go out on his little vengeance ride.
By that logic, you dislike Pulp Fiction.
No, see, it's a great visual, and I understand why movie makers, costumers, and directors really love to see their stars in suits because it kind of elevates the character a little bit. And I understand also why they think of this whole mystique of mobsters and organized crime people in suits because it's the business of crime. And the fact that they're professional, so they wear suits. So I understand the correlation of why they do that, but realistically, unless you have tailor-made suits with a fabric that's a little stretchy, it's very constricting, and you wouldn't be able to do a lot of the stuff that he does in this movie. And of course, you would ruin a perfectly good suit.
Maybe he just has enough money from his job to afford a lot of suits.
Oh, I'm
I
sure.
mean, honestly, that's what it looked like. Yeah.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure that was a very expensive suit that looked like it might have been Armani or Gucci or whatever. But it's like when you go out to do that kind of stuff, you would wear t-shirt and jeans or
Tracksuit.
tracksuit.
Because it's all about being comfortable nowadays. That's what I've discovered in my old age.
It is about being comfortable, and it's about wearing an outfit that you don't mind throwing away afterward because you are going to get somebody else's blood on it. So if it were a cheap suit, if he went to Kmart and bought a couple of suit separates at $100 and then went out in his vengeance ride, I would have been like, okay, you look halfway decent. You're at least a guy in a suit, and that's something, even though it's a bad suit. And then the other thing is that you don't have a problem throwing that suit away at the end because it's going to be full of blood and holes.
You're assuming this does not go well for you.
Well, even if it does go well for you, I mean, look at him. He still won, and he came back all cut up and shit.
Because of what he went through to do it. I mean, everybody should have just gotten out of the way and let him have at it, and that would have been the whole movie.
Yeah, seriously. If the boogeyman would just be like, well, shitty, and just walked away, everything would have been fine. But no, he had to be all mobstery about it.
Well, the thing about the mobster lifestyle is respect. It didn't matter if they killed his dog and stole his vintage, '69 Mustang, or if they just, pickpocketed his wallet. It's not what they did or how much they took; it's the fact that they did it to him.
No, I meant everybody should have gotten out of the way and just let him have at the kid.
At the kid.
Yeah, because if he's the kind of person that you're calling Baba Yaga on the side, things are probably going to go terrible anyway. Cut your losses at that point and just let him have what he wants.
That is true, but there is an incredible amount of loyalty with these guys. So you can kind of see why, even though they're going up against, a one-man army, that they would still get in the way of their boss or get in between their boss and that guy.
No, I get it. Trust me. I mean, it's all, like you said, it's the respect thing. But at the same time, they all know who he is. I mean, to the point that even the bouncers are just like, fuck it.
It's John
he's like,
Wick.
The guy knew, I'm gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, he also did have a change in character, which again, no one else really knew about.
Yeah.
So I don't know. See him doing what he does. I don't know. I mean, going back to the suit thing, yes, I think it's perfectly fine that he's in a suit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He probably had some money set aside, or he had custom stuff tailored to him.
Did you see the guy's house?
Well, no, I'm not saying he didn't have any money that he couldn't have had a custom suit tailored. Just, if you're going to go out and kick a bunch of ass and, kill a bunch of people, you do want to be comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. So, he probably pulled a couple bucks aside and was like, all right, let's go ahead and do this.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's, they could have basically, fuckface, the mob boss basically could have said, my son fucked up. Here he is. Just who he was and who he is, as a changed person at the same time. Being able to. I mean, it was almost like it was a little bit more difficult than what it should have been for him because of the status of what he held and who he was. And everyone kind of. It's almost like they were stopping him at every single chance they got.
Mm-hmm.
but they weren't overly trying to stop him. You know, they're basically saying, "Hey, this is a bad idea. It's the boss of boss son.
Mhm.
Like, you should probably not do this."
Yeah.
And he just kind of said, "Well, fuck you guys. I'm going to do it anyway."
Well, I mean, John Leguizamo, which weirdest cameo ever because he's only at the
Yeah,
very beginning.
that
He
was weird.
he kind of really sets a tone for this because he's like, "Do you know whose car this is?" And he punches the kid, and he punches the son of a mob boss.
Because he knows damn well who it is.
Yeah, because he knows that those kids will never have the time or the opportunity to kill John Leguizamo. He's like, you guys are already dead, so what fucking difference does it make?
Yeah,
So
I'm really glad you brought that up. Johnny Legs is a great actor, and he really does set the tone for the rest of that movie.
he does. He's in a few simple words, and this really is a testament to his acting. In a few simple words, with "Do you know whose car that is?" and then he hits the guy. That tells you that, and Keanu Reeves' tattoos when he's taking a shower. That tells you everything you need to know about that character.
Oh, just the look on his face when he sees the car roll into the garage.
Yeah.
yeah, that was actually honestly, if the scene would have ended right there, I think it would have been perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Just that pure look of disgust, like, "Oh,
Yeah.
you're not bringing this shit into mine."
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the lore building that the movie does throughout the whole course of it,
Yeah.
because like they build up John Wick as the movie goes on, and like into this mythical figure. Like I I don't know if you guys remember this, but it's one of the more surreal scenes in it. After the hit team comes in for him, a cop shows up at his house.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
He
that
goes
was
to the
funny.
door, opens the door. The cop looks inside, sees all the dead bodies, and just goes, "Hey, John."
Hey Jim. Noise
And he's like,
complaint.
"Hey, John, you working again?"
Yeah, just a
Yeah, just a
little
little
business.
thing.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
see, that's a great scene too, because in any other action movie, that cop would have been dead. And here it is. This cop has the respect for John Wick to be all like, none of my business. And John Wick has enough respect for this cop not to just throw him money or to shoot him, but to, give him a chance to say, I didn't see anything.
Yeah.
Well, that's the lore building. It's like John Wick moves into the suburbs, and he has the decency to walk into the police department there. And says, "Hey, I live here now. This is
Yeah.
who I am."
Well, it's that, and it's also kind of wise guys kill wise guys. They don't really kill average Joes unless, they really have to. But the mobsters understand why guys like you and I would call the police when we have an issue. They expect that. They actually encourage it sometimes. You're not a mobster. Don't think that you can just walk over there and yell at these guys and they'll be afraid of you. Call the police, handle it legitimately. Wise guy to wise guy though, a trail of dead bodies. So
Yeah.
when the cop looks into John Wick's house, he probably assumes all those dead bodies are dead for a reason, not just because he threw a party and went crazy, but because these guys, it was him or them kind of a situation.
Yeah, they obviously did something to him.
Yeah. So I think that's part of the reason why the cop wasn't too worried about, pile of dead bodies in the house. Plus, again, him saying, have a nice day, keep the noise down, save that cop's life.
Yeah.
That cop guy did a great job acting that out too.
Yeah.
Honestly, I thought every person's acting in this film was stellar.
I think that too, except for the main baddie,
The Russian guy or the kid?
the Russian guy.
I was okay with him.
Let's
Obviously he wasn't the best. I mean, but I was okay with what he was acting like.
let's get over the fact that he's a Swedish actor with a Swedish accent trying to pull off Russian.
Yeah, but we don't talk about that.
Yeah, let's get over that. Just it's he's trying to do over the top a little too much. When I just wanted him to dial it back just a little bit, and it would have come off a little bit creepier and a little bit more powerful.
Mm,
Interesting.
I liked it though.
So there's two directors on this film, and one of which, he's the guy who's credited as directing this movie. He's directed 2 movies so far, or he's credited with 2 movies, John Wick and John Wick 2. He
There's
has.
John Wick 2.
There's going to be.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I didn't even see that one.
Yeah. So he has 71 stunt credits, and he's worked on movies like The Hunger Games,
The Matrix.
Red, The Wolverine, Man of Tai Chi, which is another Keanu Reeves movie.
Hey, that's a good movie.
I haven't seen that one yet.
It's not bad.
I heard, what was it, 57 Ronin wasn't all that good.
I haven't seen that one yet.
47 Ronin, and look up on his filmography if he did Confessions of an Action Hero, because that might be the guy that was Keanu's main stunt guy on The Matrix, which is probably why they know each other so well and did this movie together.
Let's see, he's got 8 self-credits. Made in Hollywood, Safe, The Art of Gunfights, The World is Watching, Inferno, Filmmaker's Journey, HBO First Look at Constantine, and The Burly Man Chronicles. It looks like he's been working with Keanu since Constantine, so...
So it might be the other guy that's his main Matrix guy, but...
Maybe. There's probably lots of guys on The Matrix.
Well, no, this one in particular, because he was... he ended up doing his films as well, directing and stuff. He did a movie either it's called Diary or Confessions of an Action Hero, which is just kind of like a parody of all the action heroes, like Steven Seagal and Stallone. I recommend it. It's a pretty good comedy.
Okay.
So the other day I listened to our last podcast about oh God, what was the movie? Jesus Christ, what was the movie that I was
Paris
thinking?
with Love.
Thank you. I'm like, it's fucking bald guy. I can't think of his name.
John Travolta.
So I actually because we need to learn how to stay on topic, and that's that is all of our faults. I'll admit, mainly mine, unfortunately. However,
yep.
Remember the conversation we had for 4th of July?
Oh, Jesus Christ. Unfortunately.
Okay, but anyway, we got to learn to stay on topic.
However,
do you guys know that
speaking of Steven Seagal, so I actually watched one of the episodes where he's a cop.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Holy shit, is that funny?
Lawman,
yeah. Holy shit, is it so funny?
It's not supposed to be funny, though. That's the thing.
No, it is.
I don't care. I was laughing my ass off. Are you kidding me? He is the most racist motherfucker I've ever seen.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Wait until you see him try to teach his deputies how to shoot.
Oh, my God.
What is he just like, oh, all right, everybody, here's the gun. Oh, it's a hot dog. And he just starts eating it?
No, he shoots, and it starts with him just shooting a target, a bullseye dead on. And then he just looks at it over, because it's the worst choreographed and most scripted moment ever. He just looks over at the deputies and goes, the key is to try not to hit the bullseye. And just without looking, just raises a gun, points in any direction, shoots, and then there's a hole in the middle of the bullseye.
Oh, my God. Anyway, going back to topic.
Yeah.
He never got his car back. In fact, and I find this interesting being a car guy. He drives all 3 American-made cars, currently American-made cars. He drives the Ford Mustang, Boss 302. After that, from John Leguizamo, he gets a Chevy Chevelle SS.
Was that a Chevelle? I thought it was a Nova.
That's the Chevelle.
Oh, okay.
It's a little bit bigger than the Nova. They have the same kind of body lines to them, but it was the Chevelle.
Oh, okay.
And then
I only saw it at a quick glance the first time, so I couldn't really...
Yeah, it's not in the movie much, but he does take it to the hotel, and throughout the entire movie, you don't see it for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, because that's the last time you see it, is at the
hotel.
The hotel, yeah.
Yeah, he
the
gives
assassin
it to the valet.
hotel.
Yeah, he gives it to the valet. And then the hotel gives him a Dodge Charger at the end.
Yep.
Which is the only really new car. Well, he drives he steals one of the Yukons later, but he drives all 3. He drives muscle cars from all 3 companies, but he never gets his Mustang back. Whatever happened?
I'm glad you bring that up. I thought a really good artistic choice and kind of just like a nice little add-in to the actual plot was the way he was dealing with the stress by going to the airport.
Oh yeah, where he was just driving donuts and he kind of
Yeah.
looked like he wanted to just crash the car, commit suicide, and destroy everything that he's basically built.
It is his. Aside from the yelling at the big bad at when he was being held captive, it is the only time he really sort of like outwardly displays like raw emotion.
Well, when he reads the letter from his wife, well, when the dog is delivered, there's that too, and that's you're
Yeah,
right. That's
yeah,
about
yeah,
it.
yeah,
Yeah, everything else is him basically muscle memory. It's him working on his training and his instinct.
yeah.
But you're absolutely right. There's that part at the airport. There's that there's him with the dog and him reading that note and whatever else we said. But yeah, you're absolutely right. He's pretty emotionless in this whole thing, which works really well. I mean, as
And that's the thing about this movie. It's like a bunch of again, it's a greatest hits. It's a composite of a lot of things, but there's little touches, little flares that they put in there,
Mhm.
like Johnny Legs at the beginning, or the cop at the door,
Yeah.
or the airport, or
Well,
even the cleanup service.
yeah. Well, if you notice too,
Those guys were funny.
those guys are
Yeah,
great. But if you notice too, he sleeps on the left side of the bed every single time, no matter where he's at. When
Yeah.
he's at home and when he's at the hotel, they make it a point to do that overhead shot to see that he's sleeping on his side of the bed and not in the middle.
yeah,
That probably because his wife slept on the other side of the bed, of course. But
Right.
it's
yeah.
that it all goes back to his training and his muscle memory. That's just how it was for him. So that's just what he does.
It's those little things put together that just makes me think, wow, a lot of time and care, like a whole lot of thought was put into every scene and everything they put into this film.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes it work. You could tell that from those little touches. Everything you see has a point behind it,
Hmm.
like the sleeping on the left side of the bed, even the bouncer. By the way, that's a pro wrestler named Kevin Nash, and they dubbed over his voice. But even the bouncer sells the part of this movie and
Was
adds
that
to the
Kevin Nash?
yeah.
What? I didn't recognize him.
That was Kevin because he's getting really old and out of shape. But uh,
Not Kevin Nash. Keith Jardine.
no, you're talking about the bald guy that he was fighting in there. Kevin Nash was the big guy outside that you. It was an overhead shot from him down towards John Wick.
Yeah,
He had
yeah.
to
No,
go.
I know the shot. That was him?
Yeah,
No fucking way. I didn't recognize him.
and they
Holy
dubbed
shit. Yeah, you're right. It was.
and
What?
they dubbed over his voice too.
Okay, so I'll admit my internet sucks. The second it hits like 6 to 7 o'clock at night, because that's when everybody gets home,
Yeah,
my internet tanks. So like I'm literally 15 feet away from my wireless router, and I'm lucky if I can get signal in my room, and I'm only that far away. So
If
when I
you
was wa-
if
so
you're
when I
that
was watching this movie, huh?
if you're that close, why don't you just plug in?
Then I have to get a cable. That's a lot of work.
Okay, I'm sorry. Please go on with your story.
Thank you. So honestly, the I couldn't really recognize anybody because I watched the movie day before yesterday, and it was at like 9 o'clock at night. I was watching while I was in bed,
Mhm.
and I was rewatching this, a couple hours ago, and again, boom, couldn't recognize anybody. The only reason I recognized Willem Dafoe
his
was
voice.
because his voice, right? Willem Dafoe, and I didn't even realize it was Kevin Nash there. Fucking Christ, that's funny.
Willem Dafoe also great in this film.
Oh yeah, well,
Oh yeah,
he's great in everything he does.
creepy
Eh,
motherfucker.
Yeah, he is.
God damn, is he a creepy motherfucker? I
It,
love his work though.
and he's not an attractive man either. Have you seen the short film where he is afflicted with a permanent smile? He can't stop smiling.
Yes.
Oh my
God damn,
God.
that was good.
That is a testament to his acting because he has this really goofy grin on his face the entire time and he's like sad or angry or whatever. He emotes so well through it.
Yeah.
It's just so creepy.
Movies like this make me mad that certain actors don't get more work.
Well, William Dafoe he's kind of got a weird body of work, but everything he does, he's like on point in. Like he was in Boondock Saints, and it's the kind of movie you wouldn't expect him to be in because he's still a pretty big name at the time. And his character is so weird, but
Yeah,
he brings it so hard to that
Yeah.
movie. He makes it what it is.
He's the reverse Robert De Niro at this point.
Kind
Both
of.
are both are great actors. One of them is still really, serious about everything he does. The other one's showing up for a paycheck.
And then he was in Once Upon a Time in Mexico, where he plays a Mexican
Drug lord,
cartel.
yeah.
And behind the scenes, talking about that, he Robert Rodriguez comes up to him and says, "I want you to be in my movie. This is the character I want you to play. You're going to speak nothing but Mexican, and you're going to play the piano." And William Dafoe is like, "I don't do either one of those two things."
They
And he's
speak
like,
Spanish.
he doesn't speak Spanish and he doesn't play the piano.
Okay.
And Robert Rodriguez is like, "Don't worry, we'll teach you everything you need to know." So they taught him the one song that he needed to play. So he learned how to play that to within an inch of the song's life. And then he found a guy on set, like one of the gaffers or one of the lighters or whatever, who spoke Spanish and was from Mexico. And he had the guy say all the lines into a tape recorder. And he's doing his lines and he's speaking it phonetically just like how this guy put into the tape recorder. And Robert Rodriguez stops him at one point. He's like, "What are you doing?" And William Dafoe's like, "What?" He's like, Robert Rodriguez is like, "What accent are you using? It's so weird." And Dafoe's like, "I don't know, it's that guy's accent," and points to the gaffer. Robert Rodriguez Robert Rodriguez looks over at the guy and he says something to him and the guy says something back. He's like, "Okay, that's the accent. Go for it."
That's fucking funny.
Awesome. Oh, that is awesome. That is, I like Willem Dafoe now even more than I did a second ago. But I liked him to begin with. But
Oh, and Ian McShane showing up in this movie too, with his little role being the guy from the hotel and from the bar.
again, really well cast film.
Yeah.
And I love the part at the end where they kill the woman, the other hitman.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was perfect. And then the cleaners show up right behind them.
Honestly, so when I first heard about this movie, I was really excited, really wanted to see it. And then it came and went out of the theaters. Like, I didn't even know it showed up.
Right.
Came and went. And then right after, and that's when it first came out, too. And then when Jamal said last week, dude, I was really excited for this. I really wanted to see it. After I saw this movie, I was really angry at myself that I didn't see it the first time around. I really wish I could have seen this in the big theaters. This movie alone, it was a fun. It really was. It was a fun action movie. It was a fun action revenge movie.
Right. Yes, it was.
And seeing it on my HD computer with only SD quality because of my fucking internet. I really wish I could have paid. I really wish I could have done this movie some justice and seen it in the theaters, or at least in a better screening.
Right.
Because every single person that acted in this was great in it. Everybody. There wasn't a single person that I thought, oh, they could have casted better, or this could have been done better, or maybe the camera was off. You always find those little nitpicky things within a film.
Right.
I honestly didn't see anything at all when I was watching this. It was fun to watch from the very beginning, and it was funny. My roommate just came back from overseas, and she's kind of watching a couple of minutes, and she goes, "They killed the puppy?" like was starting to get into it, and of course she went to go pass out almost immediately afterwards.
Right.
But she really wanted to see this film too. She's heard about it. She was trying to get into it.
Yeah.
And then they killed a puppy.
Yeah, and then they killed the puppy.
Yeah. So two things. The first time I saw this film, I was actually a little bit angry because of all the things that I was seeing about it that were inconsistent or wrong. Like I said, all the abuse that his body takes, and he's quote unquote fine. They show a little bit of him in the room with the doctor who gives him some pills and stuff and stitches them all together. But after being hit in the shoulder with a baseball bat, his arm should probably be broken. Definitely after falling off a balcony onto the floor onto his back, he wouldn't be getting up and walking off. So it's like that really kind of angered me. But the second time I watched it, which was today, I got a little more into it. I started seeing a lot of what was good about this film. And the second thing I want to say is that the other guy who directed this, there's two directors. The second guy is David Licht,
Yeah, I don't know.
L-E-I-T-C-H.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce it either.
He's the guy who wrote the movie that you were talking about, Jamal, Confessions of an Action Star.
I believe he stars in it as well.
He might. He's got a lot of different things here. He mostly does stunt work as well. So, and the only two things that he has credited as directing is John Wick and John Wick 2. So these two guys look like they're just stuntmen and probably just hang out around the director all day long watching what they do, and have probably picked up, directing tips from hundreds of different directors and mushed them all together, because for basically their first time out, they did a hell of a job.
They knocked it out of the park.
They got
Yeah.
a hell of a budget. And you're saying that you're crediting all these actors for their fine work, which they did fine work, but to consistently have everybody in the film do fine work, that is really a testament to the directors, that they were able to convey to the actors what they wanted and what the scene was about, and give the directors good enough direction so they can act the hell out of those scenes.
Yeah.
Because like I've seen movies, there's a movie with Lance Hendrickson called like Sasquatch Mountain or something, which is every bit as good as you think it would be from the title of that movie.
Okay.
And it feels like it's three different movies in one. It felt like there was three different directors. It's kind of like criminals, park ranger, and some campers are being stalked by big feets or Bigfoots, Sasquatches, however you want to say it.
Wait. What is the plural now? I have to know.
I don't know, but
Let's call it Big Feet.
okay, they're being stalked and killed off systematically by some big feet, and so they're all held up in a cabin, and so like there's all the stuff that's like outside in the woods and in the mountains that feels like it's one movie and directed by one guy. There's all the stuff inside the cabin that's felt like it's directed by a second person, and then there's Lance Hendrickson scenes where he just kind of riffs a little bit, which is like the best parts of this film. And it feels like it's a completely different director. It's all done by the same guy, but it feels like three different movies all mushed together. And the stuff that Lance Hendrickson does looks like he's fucking schooling these kids on how to act. And it's kind of like that. It's like if you're not so good of an actor, or you don't really have, or not so good of a director, and you don't really have good actors, it's hard to get them to do the emotion that you want them to do. And then you have that one guy who's a name, who's a day player, who can just emote the hell out of the scene, which makes everybody else look even that more bad. But this movie, these guys are smart about it. They got the good actors, and they were able to tell them what they needed to do. And
Well-
that's a testament to the filmmakers, to the producers, to the directors, to everybody.
Well, to that point, I would. Okay, a good example would be the henchman in the movie, the lead henchman. Some people might recognize him. He's the guy from the Allstate car commercials.
Is he?
I fucking thought that was him.
Oh, is he Mayhem?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
He's also a regular. He was a regular on 30 Rock as
Yes.
Liz's ex.
He was so goddamn funny in that one too.
Yeah.
He's clearly just they're giving him the room to ad lib. And as I think back on the performances, particularly the one by Ian McShane, I think basically the direction that these guys are giving to the actors is they sit down and with a script and they say, well, this is what we've written down. This is what we want. This is the emotion we want. Find a way to get there, and then they let him go. That's why they're getting these better performances, because Johnny Legs walks in and knows, okay, I know exactly what I need, what works for me. Let me kind of use that.
Yeah.
So you're right. The directors are the key source of why the performances are great, but not necessarily because they're telling them, hey, that this is the I need you to do this, and this. They sit down. I'm thinking they sit down with the actor, says, well, this is what we really want from this character here. We kind of want him to convey this for the next part.
Well, yeah, exactly.
We need him to build this up for the next scene.
Well, yeah, you have to tell the actor what the scene's about and what are the high points they need to hit, and then you hope that they have the skill to give you what you want. And when you're dealing with actors, there are some guys who can do it in the beginning, and then as you go on, they get more and more tired or more and more frustrated, and they start to fall apart. And then there's other guys who can't do it at the beginning, who need a build up to be able to do it really, really well. And if either you're a good director or you're good with people and you talk to them and you find out what they need, you know who to put the camera on first, and then when you do your reversals or when you do your wide shots, you need to know at what points you need to do this at, what points you need to do your reversals at. So that's kind of what the director does. He tells you what the scene's about. He kind of gives you an idea of what the emotions you want. If you're a good actor, you give back way more than the director asked for and could ever hope for. So yeah, I mean it's a collaboration between the person who's trying to tell the story and the vessel in which you tell the story through.
Well, it's not David Fincher directing. Fincher will actually tell an actor, "Well, I need you to cry right then,"
Yeah,
and then he'll keep taking take after take after take until he gets exactly what he wants out of your face.
yeah,
Whereas these guys, they have a Soderbergh kind of approach to it, where they actually sit down and make it a collaborative experience, and they just say, "Well, this is the vibe I want from this scene.
mhm,
Get me there."
yeah, yeah, and I like that attempt better. I mean, sometimes you have to do that Soderbergh thing, or it's really more of the guy who did The Shining, Kubrick. It's more of a
Yeah,
Kubrick thing because he on The Shining, he just berated and belittled Shelley Duvall.
yeah.
And
Her hair started falling out.
and
That's how bad it was.
yeah, and to the point that he that because he wanted her character to be at her wit's end and be frazzled and just everything was a situation in which she panicked. So he put her in that state for a year. I believe she had a nervous breakdown after the shoot or during
Oh
the
yeah,
shoot.
she did. It was during.
During the shoot, yeah, because he was only supposed to shoot for 3 months and he ended up shooting for a year. And it's he does that kind of thing where he puts that kind of pressure on the actor to get that kind of performance out of the actor. And to some degrees, you have to do that. To some degrees, you have to force the actor into giving you what you want. But if you have a good enough actor, you don't have to do that very often. Or if you're good with collaboration, you don't have to do that often. You have to just do that once in a while. And I had to do that a couple times where I had to do take after take after take until I got that one take that I knew that I wanted. And
Sorry.
no, that actually wasn't from you. You actually are one of the people that I'm just like, whatever you think is right. And then I'll have you do it a couple times, and then it might have to tweak you a little bit, but I don't really have to do much. You,
That's what he says to his girlfriend too.
I was trying to think of something to say after tweak.
Oh come on, that was easy.
but it's like, you're somebody like I always said, I'll give you a script and I'll tell you play around with it because I'm more concerned with the essence of what's being said than the actual words. But when I was
That,
doing the western that I did, the promo for
Lonesome
Lonesome
Town?
Town, thank you,
Yeah.
yeah. The one kid that we had who, he's a good kid, never really acted before he wanted to get into it. There was just this one point where I just had him go over and over one line, just because I wanted him to just say it correctly. And I forget what line it was. It was something when he was at the door keeping the dad out from getting in. But yeah, I mean, sometimes and that's why I think these guys are really good at directing because they've seen so many other people do it that they see what works and what doesn't.
Well, you just used the word I was searching for in my head, but I couldn't find it. Essence. You you. I think they gave the actors the essence of the film and of the scene,
Hmm.
and that's where they go. And this movie kind of has that in every scene.
Yeah,
It has every scene has personality, and a lot happens in this movie. I don't know if you guys are aware of this or really paid attention to it, but a lot is happening in this movie because I completely forgot that long sequence at the church.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean, they packed this movie full of like action sequences. By the way, the semi anticlimactic death of the kid, that's in a whole nother action sequence. The club, the fight at the hotel. I mean, this movie is jam packed with action. Like it takes a while to get there, but after it actually starts, it doesn't stop.
No, it's like a roller coaster ride. There's that long build up to get to the top of that first hill. Once you're over that first hill, it is a rush. You're absolutely right. And I gotta say, speaking of the death of the kid, um, right before that happens, they're all in the safe house, the quote unquote safe house,
Yeah.
and they go from one shot of John Wick, doing his thing, right to the video game that the kid's playing, which is a first person shooter, which is a beautiful transition, just in the fact that you think, oh, it's another action scene, but it's also a very good commentary on kind of the movie and the style and its pacing. It does feel like a video game. It does feel like that first person shooter.
Yeah.
That every step of the way feels like a level, and at the end of every level is a boss. And even when at the church, when he gets hit by the car, and he's put into the basement or whatever it is, and they put the bag over his head. That felt like a cutscene to a video game. It has a very video game kind of feel to it, and I think that's really cool because since video games are so ingrained on a lot of our lives now, it has a very familiar feel to it all.
By the way, what a brutal fight at the basement, or not the basement, but the warehouse or whatever that they were at, where he's in the chair.
Yeah.
That was a brutal fight, especially the way it
Yeah.
ends.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I gotta say another thing that bothers me is the shot that William Dafoe takes in that scene. It took a long time for that bullet to go from the window to that guy's head.
No, man, it was just it was bullet time. It was meant to do that.
You know what? It didn't look like slow motion. It looked like just the slowest traveling bullet ever. Because bullets, they go the speed of sound and greater than that. And this thing took enough time for the camera to actually kind of pan over from the window to the guy to see the blood spurt from the head.
Hey, it traveled at the speed of dramatic purposes. Okay, we're good.
Oh my God! That if I ever write a book, that's going to be the name of it. The speed
No,
of
that
dramatic
that
purposes.
needs to be the name of this week's show. Speed of dramatic profile.
Okay, purposes. But
Or thing.
I,
I saw a cat.
I okay, so I think I will leave on that high note because I got to get ready for work.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, guys, it
Have
was
fun
good
at work,
talking to
man.
you.
Yep.
Yep. Anything else you want to say about John Wick?
I recommend it. I mean, honestly.
I do too. I like I said, like the first time I watched it, I felt very angry afterwards just because of all the inaccuracies. But the second time, I really kind of got into the story, and I thought it was very well done.
Yeah. I mean, the first time I watched it, I wasn't really. I honestly wasn't expecting much out of it. I was like, okay, he did. Keanu is who I'm speaking of. I was like, he did Matrix, and that was some of the best work he's ever done.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
you really can't get better than those films right there. I mean, well, you can, but
Well, the first one
and,
anyway.
yeah. I mean, Keanu Reeves did a great job in those films.
Uh-huh. Well,
I mean, don't get me wrong, he did great, and I, as much as people hate Speed, I like that film.
you know what though? It's a typical action fare, and it's got a little bit of personality to it. I think he does a really good job in it, and his supporting cast are a lot of like character actors, so
Yeah,
they do really good in the roles that they're given.
yeah. And honestly, okay, so I saw Man of Tai Chi when it first came. Well, I saw it when it was first released on streaming
Hmm.
on Netflix. I think it was on. Um, Good film. I actually liked it.
Okay.
What I really liked about it is that they didn't use Keanu Reeves they didn't use him as a way for you to watch the film, which I really liked about it. They used him for what he was useful for, and that was a sadistic, creepy, fucked up boss, and he played it very well.
Oh.
I liked it. But the film isn't about him. It's about the other guy that he's hired, I guess is the easiest way. Again, I would recommend that movie.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
he's trying to get somebody into a Tai Chi competition, right?
yeah, essentially, yeah. And he does a really good job at it. And he's now viewed as Billy Badass.
Kind of. He seems like he still thinks he's doing Matrix films. That's what it feels like with that and with the 47 Ronin and this movie.
Honestly, I don't think he's trying to do that. I think he's just typecasted into those.
It's kind of a typecasting of his own choosing,
Yeah.
though. Yeah, because
Well, I mean, yeah.
he produced those other two films, Man of Tai Chi and 47 Ronin, I think.
Right.
He produced at least one of them.
Well, he helped produce Man of Tai Chi.
Yeah.
Fuck, I don't remember. Okay, it may have been 47 Ronin. But I mean, there was one scene that he wanted in. No, it was Man of Tai Chi. But there was a scene in Man of Tai Chi that was choreographed to a robot. I'm not too sure if you know about this,
Mm-mm.
but it was supposedly, and they spent months and months and months of work trying to choreograph the scene where this robot arm, like the arms the robot arms that build
Cars and stuff.
cars.
Yeah. Okay.
It was choreographed to that, so the camera was going to be on the robot, and they were going to be moving it
Mm-hmm.
according to how the actors were moving as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so when this huge and it was supposed to be like a 5-6 minute fight too. It was just horribly long. But after a while, they just realized, okay, we're spending way too, and they were there for like almost a year training for this one scene.
Oh wow.
And after a while, they're just like, okay, we can't do this anymore. It's not like, yes, it would be great, but it's not feasible for us to do this right now. Because I mean, they were just dumping just money into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you about to say puppies?
No. I honestly don't know what I was gonna say. So I woke up this morning around 6:30 a.m. to two high school kids, pretty much outside my window, screaming, "What, you think your BMW is so good? Look at mine. You hit my BMW." Followed by me being angry old man. I looked out my window, and my first thought was, "Thank God I don't have a gun." I, I legitimately heard that argument at 6:30 in the morning between two high school kids. I'm like, "Fuck you guys!" Just I'm not even gonna go into it. And I immediately followed by my cat, my puffy little thing,
Mm-hmm.
not leaving me alone, because once I wake up, that's when she wants food.
Right.
So I get woken up by that thing as well. And I'm like, okay, this is a great start to a morning. So all day I was doing that. And then I had a shitty day at work today too. So I'm just dead tired. So all day I went with dinner with my girlfriend at this it's like a nature food place. I don't really get the whole nature food thing. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But this place has amazing milkshakes. And I actually turned her on and her friend on to these milkshakes. They're peanut butter shakes. So
Okay.
it's like soy milk, honey, uh, yogurt, peanut butter, and like I think banana or something. I forget what the fuck else it is, but it tastes like peanut butter. But it's so goddamn good. And like all three of us ended up buying one and just sitting there just chatting. Didn't even have dinner. Just drank these milkshakes while we're sitting there. And I get home and I'm like, oh shit, I forgot to eat. I'll do it later. So I'm sitting here with a bucket of fucking almonds. I'm just eating almonds while we're doing this thing.
Nice.
But no, anyway, like, oh, that's right. He wasn't a day. There stood still. I'm just going over Keanu Reeves stuff right now.
You remember he was in Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Yeah. Jesus. Honestly, I want to go through Keanu Reeves movies again.
I'm actually looking over the woman, the female hitman, Perkins.
Yeah.
She's in Agents of Shield. She was in the last G.I. Joe film, Retaliation. She was Lady J,
Huh.
and she was in Red Dawn.
The
Oh,
remake?
yeah. Oh, she was Wonder Woman in that crappy TV movie Wonder Woman.
Oh, God.
I didn't realize that.
I heard that movie sucked.
Oh yeah, I told you guys it sucked.
Mm.
I saw it, unfortunately.
I heard about it and I'm like, oh, Wonder Woman. I wonder if they did great on it. And you said it, and I'm like, maybe I'm gonna do a little bit more research on it. Everybody, like, there's a general consensus of, nah, don't do it.
Yeah. No, I wrote up a blog on the website about after I watched it how horrible it was. It's just
Mm,
it's like, Wonder Woman is DC and Warner Brothers, and it's a huge franchise, and it's their top female superhero.
yeah,
And you think that if they were going to do a TV show, they would do it right. And it's like there was so much hype behind it that they were doing this, and then all of a sudden it just disappeared. All of a sudden they were like, no, no, we're not putting out Wonder Woman. We're just test shots. That's all. And it's all like, really? It's like, and
jeez,
and I had to watch it at that point. I just had to know what they did.
yeah,
And oh my God, was it bad?
mm,
And it's like a
yeah,
shame. And now, and it's so weird too, because now she's moved over to Marvel doing Agents of Shield,
yeah.
which is kind of funny.
I don't know. I saw the first episode of Agents of Shield. Really couldn't get into it.
It's not bad, and I kind of wanted to watch it more to find out really what happened to Coulson, because he dies at the end of the first Avengers movie, or in the
Oh,
middle of
they
it.
they explained that in episode 1.
Did they? Because I could
Yeah,
totally missed it.
no, it's literally like, or maybe episode 2. I don't remember, but it like he explains exactly what happened.
He doesn't explain exactly what happened. He kind of gives an explanation of what happened. It felt more like because there's something else going on, and in the Marvel universe, it could either be a clone or a robot or a robot clone. Because they do
Yeah,
that kind of shit a lot. So he gave an explanation of they needed to think I was dead so they could rally together. But in the movie, it looks like he dies. So when he showed up in in the beginning of Agents of Shield, which is cool that they brought him back because he's a good actor and it's a great character. I'm sitting there thinking there's got to be something more to this, and maybe there's not. Maybe the whole explanation is they just needed somebody to rally around against. But then again, it's kind of he has this car. He has this old vintage Corvette that he throws on their plane and carries everywhere they
yeah,
go. And there's something up with that car. And you know I read a little bit more into it and found out what that was about. But it's like they do this thing, and it's pretty cliche that they give you an explanation, but that's not really the explanation. That there's something more to it. They just kind of gloss over you know there's 20 different clones in a pod right now of me, and every time I die, they pull out another one. But yeah, I mean, I liked it for the most part. It's a decent TV show. Um, I watched probably half of the first season of that. I saw a couple episodes of what is it, Miss Carter or Agent Carter?
Agent Carter.
Yeah, that one I wasn't getting too much into, and I know everything comes together at some point, and I'm kind of watching it and just like I kind of just want this to be a movie so you can get to the point already. And then
Yeah.
yeah, and then those ones seem kind of a little lighthearted, and then we saw Daredevil, and Daredevil's the only one that really seems like it's competition for the movies.
Yeah.
You know, which it's all in the same universe, which is kind of cool, but it feels like it's in the same universe.
Hmm.
So yeah, I mean, like I stopped watching Agents of Shield, and I thought about watching it again, but I don't care if I see it, if I don't see it, and that's really the key factor to it for me. It's like I would rather finish watching The Walking Dead, which apparently nobody likes except for me.
Honestly, I got 3 episodes into the first season of Walking Dead. Couldn't do it.
See, that's where a lot of people stop. And I I got through 3 seasons of it. I don't know if I finished the last. I think I got halfway through the 4th season. Is it? And I ended up having to stop because I was watching it online, and some of the uh, the episodes I couldn't get, so I just had to stop watching it and wait for it to come onto Netflix. And it finally did. And I haven't like continued watching it yet.
Oh, okay.
But it's like it in typical zombie fare, it's not about the zombies or why they're there. It's about the people surviving it. And there is a lot of like moral dilemmas, and there's a lot of like, you know, there's a lot of decisions, and none of them are right, kind of a thing. Which like if you play the game, The Walking Dead season one, which actually has nothing to do with the TV show, and looks like it's illustrated by the guys who do the comic book.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I've played that.
yeah, that does a lot of that. That does a ton more of those moral dilemmas. And like I said, every single one is wrong. There's nothing that you can do that feels like it's right that you're going to save everybody. And
Yeah.
it's just like it, that's kind of the compelling thing for me about the TV show, not so much for the game, because the game, it just feels like everything I do is wrong, so why play it? But like when you're watching those characters, and the easiest thing to do for a writer is tell them or make the decision that all your characters are going to suffer, because you can make people suffer real easy. To give them a happy ending is kind of hard. So it's like they just kind of revel in the fact that these characters have to do fucked up things to survive. Like, spoiler alert, the kid had to shoot his mom after she gave birth to, his little brother or sister, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And it's because she died during the birthing process and became a zombie. And he just put one right between the eyes. And this kid is like, what is he, like 12, 13 years old,
Yeah,
something like
something
that?
like that.
So he's just at that kind of age where he's, just becoming a man anyway, and then he has to do that ultimate thing of fucking killing your mom because she's going to kill you. And it's just like, it's episode after episode of that kind of shit. And you really feel like nobody's going to get out alive, and that this is really the last of humanity, and you're watching it die off slowly, like a candle burning out. And to me, that's intriguing. That's what I really like about it. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, it departs from the comic book, and they kind of have to do that to keep it interesting. Because like towards the end of the first season, they go to the CDC, which is actually right there in Atlanta. So
Yeah.
it's a no-brainer that they would go there. And it's funny too, because at the end of that, or at the end, I think in the last episode or the second to last episode, the lone doctor who is still alive at the CDC, who's trying to figure out a cure for the disease and then ends up blowing up the joint, whispers something into the sheriff's ear, and then everybody runs out and the place blows up. And he never tells anybody what it is until like halfway through the second season,
Mm.
where everybody's infected. Everybody who dies comes back as a zombie. Doesn't matter if you're bit or not. And he does that after shooting his best friend, who he doesn't know had an affair with his wife because everybody thought he was dead.
Right.
So it's like a soap opera on steroids kind of a thing. And it's just like it's so kind of entertaining to watch, just to see these people just go deeper and deeper into this depressive state. It's a little bit therapeutic for me. It makes my life feel a little bit better.
But it's so funny because that the series really seems like to me personally, it feels like a soap opera with zombies.
It kind of is, yeah.
Yeah, and honestly, I I understand the appeal to some people. Don't get like you just right now. You're like, it makes you feel good about yourself, and
Yeah.
I I couldn't do those series at all. Like I tried watching that. Um, there was a couple times in Dexter even, where I was like, all right, let's get to the next episode already.
Yeah.
There's a couple times I felt like that, and not really Breaking Bad. But I mean, there were some definite times in the storylines, especially in Walking Dead, because I read the comic books personally.
Yeah.
Love the comic books; they were fantastic work. Um, but then when I was waiting for the crossover into the film or into the TV series, I watched not in a row, but it took me a long time. But I eventually watched the entire first season.
Hmm.
I watched the first three religiously. Don't get me wrong, because I wanted to like that show.
Yeah.
I actually saw the first season probably over a year's time, and after I saw the first season, I was like, "Oh, they're all gonna die. Like that's just it. They're all gonna die in some fucked up way, and that's it."
Hmm.
And then now that you're explaining it all to me, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, that's kind of it then, I guess, isn't it?"
It kind of is. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
they the thing is that they kill off some characters and then they find some new characters, and it's kind of fucked up because if you're the black guy in the crowd and then another black guy comes into the fold, that original black guy is going to die.
yeah,
It's happened a couple of seasons in a row, and I was just like, and they ended up going to a prison and hanging out there for a while for a couple
yeah.
of seasons,
I
and
heard about
then
that one.
yeah, and that's where I finally noticed it. I'm like, a new black guy comes into the fold, and I'm like, oh, that original black guy's dead. That guy they picked up last season, he's gone. And yeah, eventually he ended up dying off, and it's
Mm,
just like, wow. But there's another zombie show that's on Sci-Fi. That
iZombie.
there's that one, and then there's Z Nation. Um,
Oh, I heard about seeing it. I haven't seen anything on that one though.
Z Nation is being billed as the zombie TV show for people who don't like The Walking Dead.
Huh?
It's done a little bit lower budget. It's done a little more tongue in cheek. It's got DJ Quills in it, which is great. Um,
Funny.
but it's it's kind of a little more campy. It's got some really cool moments in it. The basic plot is that Michael from Lost is a soldier. He's the black guy from Lost, if
Yeah.
you've seen Lost. Uh, who happens to be in everything, by the way. He's like go-to black guy number three.
Oh yeah.
Like number one in TV and maybe number three in movies. But
Everybody loves him anyway.
yeah, but he's a soldier and he's tasked with getting this guy. I think it's from New York to California or vice versa. This guy is immune to the zombie virus. He's been bitten like a dozen times and he's fine. So in the first episode, Michael ends up dying and he passes off this guy to these other people. And DJ Quills is in an Arctic research facility and he's talking to these other characters via the radio. So he's kind of like the John Connor from Terminator 4, where he's talking on the radio trying to pump people up, and if you're listening to this message, you are the resistance, kind of a thing,
Yeah.
which is kind of cool. So the whole series is this group of survivors trying to get this guy who's immune to whatever medical facility, hoping that that facility is still around and there's still people there. So it's kind of got a little bit of The Last of Us thrown in there.
That's kind of cool actually.
Yeah, so it's a little campy, like I said, and it's a little more uplifting, I think. But they still
Yeah.
do some fucked up things in there. They ran into some people who are cannibals, which I totally could see in a zombie apocalypse.
Oh, definitely. You
Yeah,
eat what you get.
yeah. So it's like they run into more fucked up people, but it's a little bit more fun. And
Mhm.
then yeah, there's iZombie, which I saw the first episode of, where it's a woman who I believe is a doctor who becomes a zombie who's self-aware, and it's kind of a comedy thing. It's kind of like a chick flick zombie film. When
Yeah.
to me, it didn't appeal to me. To my understanding, there's a bit of a following to it, which is kind of cool. I mean, it's nice to see somebody doing something different with it, and I like the idea of a zombie being kind of self-aware
Yeah.
because Return of the Living Dead did that, and I thought that was really kind of cool. So it's there's other stuff out there, if you don't want to watch The Walking Dead, but I think The Walking Dead is pretty cool. But I like stuff like that. I like Breaking Bad. That was kind of my favorite thing about Breaking Bad and about Sons of Anarchy is that any character could die at any moment. And I'm from a generation who those kind of TV shows really didn't exist. Main characters never died off unless that actor wanted
Yeah.
to leave the show. And then a lot of times like in MASH they was on for 11 years. They had like 4 or 5 of the characters leave and be replaced. They killed off one. And they did that because they wanted to show that, not everybody goes home from war,
Yeah, exactly.
which was kind of cool, but that was a really big thing. That
I
that
mean, and the best part was they actually highlighted it.
yeah.
They're like, look, this is war. This shit happens. Like, we all understand it's sad, but it's nothing we can do about it, kind of thing.
Yeah. But
And they did a great job when they did that.
oh, they definitely did, yeah. But it's like that was a thing that only happened once in a great while.
Right.
And now here's this TV show or a couple of TV shows that it happens every week. It doesn't happen every week, but
Right. It's more frequent though.
like 2 or 3 times a season, somebody that you've invested, a year and a half in, could die and does
Yeah.
die. And it's not always, in the most bold or selfless ways. Sometimes it's accident, sometimes it's stupidity, sometimes it's being stabbed in the back. And
Hmm.
it's like for me that's what, keeps me coming back is that I have to see if this one guy survives. And so far the sheriff has survived all the seasons, but he could die at any moment. They really bill it like that. Like he could be the next guy to die, and it could be something completely stupid. Those are always my favorite when it's always something dumb because you're like, oh, that guy totally deserved better than that.
Right. Now, do you think they actually will kill him off?
If they do, that will probably be the end of the series. Um,
Right.
because the whole series begun with him waking up from whatever coma that he was in.
Hmm.
So it's almost as if he was being birthed there, or a new version of him is being birthed
Right.
into this crazy world that he knows nothing about. So he is the audience essentially, and everything that happens is through his eyes, and what he learns, we learn. So when the show comes to an end, he will probably be the one who dies, or maybe he'll turn into a zombie. And then now they have this new show called Fear the Walking Dead, which to my understanding is a prequel to The Walking Dead and how the zombie virus started and all that, which I don't think is really necessary.
No, but it allows them to market it in a different way now.
True, true. And I always think that the best zombie films are the ones who aren't really about zombies and it doesn't matter what the zombies are or what
Yeah.
made them. It's how the people react to them. Like what's his face? Um George A. Romero, he always said in his first film, Night of the Living Dead, that the zombies represented, communism. Because it was a time when everybody was afraid of communism. Like, you know,
Oh.
like the Russians would come over and attack America or something, a Red Dawn
Hmm.
scenario. So he always said that was kind of representative of how society feels about communism. And then in the second one, Dawn of the Dead, where it takes place in a mall in the
Yeah.
70s, he's like the zombies represented commercialism. Kind of capitalism, kind of the exact opposite of what they represented in the first one.
Yeah. Yeah.
And how like especially around Christmas time that we just kind of froth at the mouth for deals and toys and gifts for our family when the holidays really aren't about the gifts for our families. It's about us being together for the
Yeah.
holidays and just remembering everybody. And kind of that's what zombie films are. It's not about the zombies and not about the gifts. It's about the people who are the core or the family of the film. So
Right.
so I
It's about a plague that happens against humanity.
yeah, it's about how people deal with that,
Hmm.
and that's again why I like The Walking Dead.
No, I can see that. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, I mean I understand that it's not for everybody, and a lot of the I feel like a lot of the people who are hardcore into the comic book don't like the TV show,
Yeah.
which is funny to me because it's done. It's produced and pretty much endorsed by the guy who writes the comic book.
Yeah, exactly. Which is really funny to me.
Yeah. Unlike World War Z, where Max Brooks was all like, yeah, I sold the rights to my book and I know nothing about the movie and
Yeah.
I don't do anything with the movie, so don't ask me about the movie.
Which was fucking smart because he knew there was no goddamn way they could have made that into a film.
They could have, but I'm sure they told him what they wanted to do with it, and I'm sure
Yeah.
it was all like, whatever, just give me the check. And, because they could have done it where it was post-war and, this interviewer was going through and getting people's stories and doing them as flashbacks. I think they could have done that, and I think they would have had a much better film, but they did what they did, and they learned a lesson.
God, it was a piece of shit movie.
Oh my God, I know, right? I imagine, and we saw after test audiences and reshoots what they thought was a
Yeah.
good enough for the movie, I guess, or what they could cobble together.
Well, the best part was that movie wasn't even completed. Or no, the script wasn't even completed when they first started shooting. That's what made me go, "What the fuck are they got? What the fuck is going on?"
Well, that happens sometimes, and I've heard of movies that were like that got pages like the day of or the day before. If you were lucky, at the end of shooting day, you'd get your pages for the next day, and that's how the movie went, and it was being wrote as the movie was being shot. And
Which I understand. Don't get me wrong.
yeah,
But when there is an entire script rewrite, like, what was it? Like, the last 3/4 of the film made no sense. So apparently, what they did is they went on like a 2 week or like almost a month-long hiatus, told everybody, "We're going to finish this, but just hold off."
yeah,
And then had to rewrite. It basically was rewriting that entire film up until they started shooting again.
yeah,
Like that blew my fucking mind that it was allowed to happen.
yeah. Well, that's kind of Brad Pitt's fault. He was the producer on this. It was his production company, and him also being the star of it. That was kind of his bad.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah, he should have had. He should have brought Max Brooks into the fold and been all like, "How should we do this? Help us with the script," kind of a thing. And I think they would have gotten something a lot better than what they had.
They should have done something.
Yeah, but they basically just wanted the name, I think, just so they can have a built-in audience to it.
Yeah. What, like I said, I understand.
Yeah.
Because, if that movie was done properly and done well, fuck, that movie could have done so well.
Yeah.
But, it went on to uh, Netflix streaming.
Mm-hmm.
Like, actually, what, about a year ago? Probably a little bit less than that. And, we had some friends over and like, "Oh, guys, let's watch World War Z," and everyone's like, yeah, I'm really not into it. I was like, "Come on, it can't be that bad." So we all ended up watching it, and every single, like, the second we hit stop, like the second the movie was done, we didn't even watch the credits.
Yeah.
It just stopped, and we looked at each other and we're like, "What the fuck was that?" Because my friends and I, we've all read, like, not, since we've known each other, we didn't realize this, but we've all read World War Z,
Okay.
and we all love that film.
Right.
I mean, like, when I met Max Brooks, I fucking squealed.
Oh, that's right. You were there with us when we met.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so goddamn happy because that was one of the first books that I was like, "Holy shit, someone made a book about zombies." Because I'm a zombie fan. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, "Holy shit!" I didn't realize this book came out. I read it. I read his comic books. I read everything I could possibly find in this guy. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Watched the movie, and I was like, "I can't believe they made this." I was pissed at Max Brooks because I thought it was his name attached to it.
No.
And then I later realized, oh shit, he just sold off the right.
Yeah.
He was smart.
He didn't care. He just wanted the money. Or they were probably hounding him, and he probably was like, "Whatever, just fucking pay me."
Yeah.
Yeah. But I actually, because he also wrote the Zombie Survival Guide,
Yes.
which is a great book and has great suggestions in it for basically any kind of survival. And somebody asked him once, because he lives in LA, and somebody asked him once at a convention, "Do you have a zombie survival kit?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's the same kit I have. It's my, earthquake kit. It's the same kit I have for that. It's just an emergency kit." And he's
Yeah.
like, food, water, blah, blah, blah. So, it's like everything that's in that book is common sense and could help in most situations. And I've actually used some of the stuff. Like one of his suggestions was that when shit's starting to go down, if you're going to fortify your house, what you want to do is fill your bathtub up with water because you have no idea how long the water is going to stay on for. And then you can use that water for like gray water to flush your toilet or, to cook with or to bathe with or whatever. And when I was first after my divorce and I didn't have a job, I broke up with I kicked my wife out of the house and got fired within like 3 days
Oh Jesus.
of each other. So so when I was going through my divorce, I'm living in this house that I couldn't really afford, and I ended up having the water being shut off, and I knew the water was going to be shut off, and I was reading Zombie Survival Guide at the time, so I do fill up my tub with water, and I use that water, and I had a bunch of kept 2 liters from when I was drinking soda, so I had like maybe 20, 32 liters that I had sitting around the house that I kept that I was going to recycle but never did, and I ended up filling all those with water. So I had enough water to get through until I was able to get some money together to pay the water bill.
Yeah.
So those suggestions, and I was in a class too that was some sort of reading class that felt like it was kind of beneath me. But one of the things was like, oh, you have to bring in a book and you have to read, X amount of time throughout the course of the thing, and then every couple of weeks we would talk about the book that we're reading. And the teacher could not wrap her head around the fact that I was reading the Zombie Survival Guide.
Really.
She's like, is that a narrative? I'm like, no, it's actually kind of just common sense things about any kind of survival for any kind of natural disaster. I'm sure all these things would be the same if it was like an earthquake that hit, or if it was a meteor that hit, or the Russians invaded, whatever.
Yeah.
So it's like, just because it says zombie survival guide doesn't mean that it's that it's specifically zombie related. And
Mhm.
and funny enough, Heather's son Tyler was reading that in high school when he was in high school in Ventura, and he got in a lot of trouble for it
Yes, I remember that.
because they believed it was subversive. That it was, I don't know what they thought it was, but they obviously never read it.
Mm.
And they told him he couldn't read it in school, and he kept reading it in school. And who tells a kid that you can't read in school? What kind of
Yeah.
school is that? First off. Secondly, maybe you should ask the kid, hey, what's that book about? Before you say, hey, that book is subversive and you can't read it in class anymore. And we told Max about that in Max Brooks. Sure, I'll call him by his first name like I know the
Yeah,
guy.
you guys are friends. It's cool.
Sure, why not? He liked my hair at the time. Why not?
Yeah.
So we tell Max Brooks about this at the time, and he's all like, and Tyler wasn't there, but he signed a book for Tyler. He's like, he doesn't say fuck your school, but basically he's like, don't listen to your teachers.
Yeah.
Do all the reading you can.
I
Which
mean,
is
when we were listening to Max Brooks, I mean, one really cool thing that I do remember, and this goes to every aspect in life, is that if, um, he was saying he's dyslexic, he can't read too well, so his mom would either read to him or he would listen to the audiobooks,
right.
and so that's all he did, because he can't. Uh, most people know what dyslexic is. So, I mean, I don't really want to explain that, but I mean that never really stopped him from doing anything. And then now you're getting teachers nowadays who are like, oh, that's a bad influence on you. You can't read that. Or, not too sure if you heard about that one kid in, oh, I want to say New York, I forget where it is, or Texas, I'm sorry, who was building a clock out of spare parts. Did you hear about this?
No, but are you going to tell me everybody thought he was building a bomb?
Yeah.
I did not hear about that.
Okay. That's exactly what happened, and it was in Texas. I think it was Dallas. I don't. It happened like last week, and my mind is kind of out of there since the jail incident for me. So I mean, they took this kid aside without his parents, and the states in the United States, kids cannot be held without the parents present.
Mm.
They cannot be questioned without a parent present, and apparently they did that to this kid. His name, he was, I think it was Muslim, but his name was Ahmed, 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 and they basically said you're a terrorist, and like they were fucking with this kid, and yet here he was trying to, like, it was an invention of his, something that he was trying. He was trying electronics,
Mhm.
apparently something he'd never done before, and they just said no. Like they just flat out told him no.
Yeah, that's gonna stick with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was actually really funny. The Obama actually tweeted out. I don't know if it was actually Obama or just an account for the president.
Mhm.
It was basically like, oh, I like what you're doing. Don't stop with your engineering work. He's like, you're invited to the White House to show off your clock anytime. I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking funny for being such a red state as fucking Texas.
Mhm.
You would figure the laws are a little bit more withstanding than anything else there.
Yeah, but
But
on
at the
the other
same,
hand,
yeah, exactly. That's what I'm just about to get at. That it's also a red state where,
redneck state.
yeah, Jesus Christ, I wouldn't wish Texas on my worst enemy.
Well, and I'm not gonna say that everybody in Texas is rednecked and racist, but
No,
you have to admit that's kind of a racial profiling thing, that this Muslim kid building something with electronics and you think it's a bomb and a terrorist.
yeah,
Because, if anything, Colorado has shown us that white kids can build bombs and be terrorists.
mm-hmm. And actually beat those.
Yes.
So I mean, it was a funny thing that happened. God damn it. Well, no, it just goes back to the whole, like, your teachers are the ones that are supposed to be.
I'm supposed to encourage you.
Yeah. Honestly, I wouldn't be where I am right now if our professor Dave had just been like, if he'd have just said, "You're decent at what you do. You should probably try to find a different job." Like that would have fucking crushed me. I wouldn't be here in California doing what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
I can guarantee that right now. I mean, it would have destroyed me.
Well, Dave is
So
one of the good ones.
yeah, he really is.
Yeah.
I need to. I'm gonna call him this week and just bug him.
You
I
tell him about the show. Have him listen to it.
Yeah, I'll tell him all the good stuff too. But I mean, it's really interesting to me how and where things like just where kids are going nowadays, and what teachers are thinking of the students, and how it's all just the fear isn't taking everybody over right now too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, speaking of getting off topic, we start doing it again.
Yeah, but we talked a significant amount of time about the movie,
Yeah.
and then I like to talk about other things too, because I mean Jamal and I talked about the Muppet Show prior to you getting on.
Oh, okay.
He watched the 10-minute preview of it and liked it. Thought it was funny.
I didn't even know a new Muppet show was coming out.
Yeah, it's a new primetime Muppet TV show, and he's saying it's a little more geared towards adults, but you know, I haven't seen anything yet of it, but he recommended it. I found it on the internet somewhere.
Hmm. All right, I'll have to check it out then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking what we should do for our fourth film, since Jamal wants to do it as a collaborative offer, and I'm going to throw this out here and see what you think about it. We should do Hot Fuzz
Ah.
because it's an action film. It's an action comedy, but it pays homage to every action film that came before it, and
All right, yeah.
it's kind of cliche done as a full-length feature.
Yeah.
So that's my suggestion for it. If you have a better suggestion, by all means, bring it up next week. I'll text that to Jamal tomorrow or whatever. I'll probably forget to text him, but if I remember, I'll do that.
There you go.
And yeah. So give me a second, brain fart. So yeah, so if you want to learn more about Mario, Jamal, or myself, then why don't you head on over to mof.ninja,
Nah.
our website, where you can find show notes and other episodes of Makers on Film.
Oh no, coffee. Coffee's not commenting anymore.
Interesting. Maybe she just got tired of hearing Jamal make fun of her.
I really need to know who this person is. It's really bugging me.
Why does it bug you so much?
I don't know, because you guys are more past. I'm like, who the fuck is it? And I'm like, there's no way he means her.
Well, it's Jamal keeps saying it's somebody from our past.
Yeah.
It could just be somebody.
And like just someone fucking with us. Well,
Well,
if I'm not mistaken, during Return of the Killer Tomatoes, even they were like, oh, I think it's funny you guys think I'm someone from your past.
yeah, it could be just somebody who came across our show and likes it.
Yeah.
As weird as that may seem. But
No, I'm sorry. I think it was during Rubber.
it was one of those two.
Yeah, it was
Tomato.
during Rubber.
Yeah, Tomatoes Coffee Cane said something about pulling a Mario, I think.
Yeah.
Which is great because if she doesn't know us, then she should, because she's one of
Yeah.
us now.
And it's really funny. I think it's really funny that we automatically think this Coffee Cane is a female. And it's only because our connection to someone else from our past.
Mm.
It's funny to me that we automatically think female when we hear that name.
Well, it's a very kind of 70s blaxploitation sounding name. Like Pam Grier sounds like, she
Yeah.
would play Coffee Cane in some movie.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Well, yeah. So people can go over to our website. They can
they
listen to
can
our stuff.
they can leave a message for us like Coffee Cane does, or did. And like my brother used to.
Seriously, you need to do something about that.
Yeah, maybe I'll text him.
Holy shit! Deathbed has 3 comments.
Of one of those is probably a spam comment that I just let through because it was generic. Sometimes there'll be like USA Jersey left a comment on your thing, and I'll just say something to the effect of "I like your post and your comments in it" or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I'll leave that in there. It vaguely
Like, alright,
sounds like
it's kind of funny. Yeah.
yes, but by all means, those of you who listen, the 30 of you who continue to listen to our podcast, by all means, let your voices be heard. Let us know what you think of the show, good, bad, or other. Go to mof.ninja and leave a comment. Let us know if you think that we're right, or let us know if you think that we're wrong. Tell us what you thought of whatever movie that we talked about that week. Um, Even if you haven't seen it, leave a message that you would never see that movie, like Attack of the Killer Tomatoes 2,
Oh
or
shit! You put the. I just saw that you put the Patton Oswalt deathbed
bit on there.
on
Yeah,
the. Yeah.
it's a good bit. Even though he gets the name slightly wrong, it's a good bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's stuff like that too. So when we talk about our own movies, I'll post that if I can find it. Like for this one, if I can find a copy of The Dead, I would post it. But I don't know if there's one out
Oh,
there on the
that
internet.
thing. that thing was deleted so goddamn fast.
I think I might have it on a hard drive, so I can always post it to my
Oh,
account.
God, I'll have to look around. I might have a copy of that still.
Well, if I can find it and if I have the time to post it to the internet, I might post it to the thing. Since we talked about zombie films and you did one, of course, I understand, your reluctance to have a movie on here because there are some movies that I've done that I don't want to be posting on here. Um, we talked about Ninja Quest, and I may or may not have posted it. I can't remember, but I didn't want to post it.
I don't remember Ninja Quest being on here.
I don't
Dude,
remember.
honestly, if you find Of the Dead, I'd be impressed.
I'll
Because I don't even think I gave it
the actors.
to Anthony. Yeah, I don't even
Well,
think I gave a copy to Anthony.
you remember when I did cliche, and we were supposed to do 8 minutes, including credits, and I did a 15-minute
Yeah,
video 'cause
yes.
I thought it'd be easy to cut down to 8 minutes, and it wasn't easy.
Fucking painful to watch in class.
And I did the TBS ending to it, where I did the credits, the end of the film, and what was coming up next.
All right, I'll admit that was fun. Even Dave had a good laugh at that.
And the movie that was coming up next, the previews for it was Of the Dead.
Yes,
So
it was.
you gave me a digital copy so I could put that on the thing, and I think I saved it to my hard drive.
Oh, that's funny.
So I'm gonna have to look to see if I still have that. And see, you did the other movie. What was it called? Hidden Claw,
Hmm.
which I like, and that's the one that I would post. If you have a digital copy of that, I'll totally post that to the thing here.
Shit. Yeah, I'll have to look for that one.
Oh, speaking of movies, Bob has. I don't know if he's completed it or almost completed it. He's doing a movie called Spartacus Schmarticus, which I did a little cameo in. I don't know if that's being cut or not. That might have just been him
Hmm.
doing tests for doing green screen and whatnot. But um, he's gonna when he posts that to the internet, I'm gonna throw that up on our website. But I'll totally let you know when he does that so you can watch it. It's actually pretty decent.
Yeah, definitely. I'd love to go check out his stuff.
Yeah, he did another one too that he sent me. If I can find it, I'll send it to you privately. It's something that he made just for the folks at for First Friday Shorts at the Loft.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
again, for those people playing along at home, First Friday Shorts is this monthly competition. It's the first Friday of every month. You bring your movie in, and it's a gong show style. They play it for 3 minutes, and if it runs over 3 minutes and the people don't like it, they can boo it and they'll gong it. Smart people make movies under 3 minutes and post those. I haven't done that yet, so extract from that what you will. But he did one that was like a minute and a half. So it was under 2 minutes, and it was horrible, horrible animation, and it had some guy doing limericks over it, but the limericks were very specific to kind of the audience and how he felt about the audience at the Loft. And he's like, "This is the one I'm going to play next at the First Friday Shorts." And he let me watch it, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that is so bad that it's funny and it's good."
That's awesome.
And if I still have, he sent it to me over Facebook. If I still have it, I'll send it over to you. Let you watch it.
Definitely. I'd love to check it out.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll talk to him. Maybe I'll post it on the website. So, hey, original content on our website of, basically our qualifications as filmmakers.
True.
And after you watch that, you could actually tell us if you think we're qualified to be filmmakers. Those of you playing along at home, who I encourage
You
you to
can
go
go
look.
ahead and tell us that you can go ahead and tell us we're not qualified. It's all right. We get it.
You can tell us that. We won't care. We'll still do it.
Well, exactly. We don't give a shit about you, but
But go ahead and
we'll,
voice your opinion.
we'll at least read it. Except you, Coffee Cane. I'll listen to you.
We'll read it on the air and then let you know what we think of what you think about our.
Just nope. Nope.
Well, I told Jamal before that if somebody just comes up to me and says you suck, I don't really take that as a valid opinion. But if you can equate to me why you think my movies aren't good or why I don't have any talent, I'll take that into consideration. Because it's constructive criticism.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you for joining us. Thank you goes out to Jamal, who had to leave early to go to work, because even though we're filmmakers, we're not famous yet, so we still have to go and plug away at our day job. Thank you for Mario, who joined us after work for virtually the same reason. And then I've taken off the day from work to do this, which isn't proper English, but I said it anyway.
Sure, it's you. You don't write proper English either.
No, I don't. Anywho, but yeah, thank you for joining us again, and talk to you next week.
Love you all.
Join the makers each week as they discuss film, TV, and pop culture. To learn more about them, go to mof.ninja. This is John Cleese saying goodbye.
Aw, that's so sweet for you to say. I needed that
What?
after my week.
You're not a part of the all. You're just Alex.
Oh, and you crush my dreams just like they used to do.